Hey guys, it's Bauke, and in today's video I'm going to talk to you about a topic that came up a couple of times in the free strategy sessions that I've been giving away lately to people who apply for them on my website, and it's education. Education is something I'm super passionate about right now because I feel like as a society we are kind of failing in this area for a lot of people nowadays. And the reason for that is that the education system as we have it currently is created about 150, maybe even 200 years ago, when the world was a completely different place from what it is today. Today we have things like the internet, we have a globalization, which means the world as a whole is far more connected than it ever was, not just by the internet but also by international trade. We have very cheap flights from one part of the world to another, so it's easier to move around a lot, or at least to visit places on the other side of the world. Whereas our education system is both very local. I think that a lot of education is focused way too much on the country in which the education is given, and also it is focused way too much on jobs that were more important 200 years ago than they are today. It is far too much focused on creating employees out of people, creating people that are following, basically learn to follow orders and get to be told what to do instead of critically think for themselves what to do. Except for, there's one exception, and that is when people go into the academics, when they go to college and grad school. That's when people suddenly go to the other side and they are learning critical thinking skills, but they are doing so in an environment that is set up almost exclusively to get them into academics as well, to get them to become a professor or at least a researcher at the university or at some kind of laboratory or whatever. So that is why I think, with a few exceptions, I admit that there are a few exceptions, our education system is not preparing people well enough for adult life after graduating from college. And so lately I've been reading a book called The Education of Millionaires. I know it's kind of a cheeky title a little bit, but it's a book by Michael Ellsberg, and in it he describes all of the things that are important for people to learn during their lives that they don't learn in school, in college or high school or anywhere else, that they have to learn for themselves during life, but they are very critical skills if you want to be a successful person in your life. Now these things are how to turn your passion into what you do for a living, which he calls the art of making a living, where he basically talks about finding something you really like to do and then making that into your way of producing an income. So instead of going directly from, oh, I love to do this, let's see how I can make this into an income, he talks about several steps to get you there, where you first start out with any job that you can get, any whatever. It doesn't make a difference whether you like to do it or not, whether you're good at it. Well, obviously you want to be good at it, but I mean that's going to make it easier, right? But he basically says, see this first job as a means to an end. So this could be a corporate job, this could be a job that is well below what you deem to be my pay grade, or it could be, you could consider it a job that is below you, but he says don't look at it as that, just look at it as a first step on the way to finding out what you really want to do for yourself. Then do it in a way where you free up enough time to have some time on the side to work on things you really love to do. And then don't expect to make any money from that at first. Just figure out what it is you really like to do, and then afterwards slowly build towards something that you can do on your own terms. So for example, writing was his passion, and then as a side job, he started freelance writing at first. And then once he made enough money from freelance writing, he could quit his regular job and then move more and more into writing, and then slowly build it into a way of living for himself. And so he talks about like these steps you have to take to go from some boring job that you really don't want to be in to completely living on your own terms, doing what you love, and all the steps that you have to take in between to get there. Then the second part is he talks about something I also feel very, very passionate about, which is mentors. Myself, when I first started trying to make money online, I was very all over the place. I didn't really know what to do, how to do it. I didn't have a direction to go in. And it wasn't until I found someone to teach me, to basically take me by the hand and to say, okay, instead of like going all over the place and all of these different things, they might all be very viable, they might work, but here's what I'm gonna teach you. This is the method I used. This is the method I will teach you. I take you by the hand right now and you follow me along this path. You make this work for yourself, and after that you can figure everything out for yourself. So that was very important for me, to have someone there to help me, not only to show me the direction to go in, but also hold me accountable to my own goals, to say, what did you do today to take you one step closer to the goals you want to reach. And so he talks about several methods and ways to go about finding a mentor, and how to approach people when you want someone to help you along the way. Then he talks about very important skills for anyone, especially if you want to be an entrepreneur, but even other people that want to just be an employee. But if you want to be a well-paid employee, it is very important to know these skills as well. They are sales and marketing. Sales and marketing are critical if you want to achieve anything at a high level in life. If you want to be successful, you want to be able to reach people with your message and to convince them that whatever value you have to provide is actually valuable. And that is kind of what marketing and sales are about. They're about reaching people with your message, that's marketing, and then convincing them that what you provide is valuable, and that is sales. And people view these things as, oh, they're sketchy, they're scammy, I don't want to sell. I just want to I just want to produce whatever I love to do, and people will come to it automatically. And that is not necessarily right. Like, it isn't true that whenever you try to sell something, it is trying to scam people or convince them to buy something they don't want to buy. It is just, in my opinion, essential to learn how to do it in a way that you actually provide value to people, and learn to convince other people that they want to actually get what you have for sale. It's not trying to get someone to buy something they don't want. That is a side of sales that is very prominent in people's minds, because as soon as you talk about sales, they think about the used car salesman that sells, the sketchy car salesman sells cars that are, not really worth what he's asking for them. People don't know anything about them, so take his word for it. But those that are really good at sales are actually so good at it that people don't even know that they're being sold anything. They're just getting information from them, and they're making their own decision based on the value that they perceive the product they are being sold has. And that is why sales and marketing are very important to learn for anyone, even if you want to be an employee, because as an employee, you're going to have to sell yourself to a potential employer. You're going to have to sell them on why you can provide more value to the company you want to work for than the next guy who also wants to have that job. That is a form of sales as well. And if you are really good at sales, then you will be far better at convincing your potential employer that you will be an asset to them as a company. Then he teaches about investing, and mostly about investing in yourself, investing in a way where all the money you make during life, you ensure that you invest it in a way where you grow yourself as a person, and you learn new skills that make you more valuable, or you buy assets on which you get a return that is valuable. So that is investing. Then the personal brand, which in today's world is more important than ever before. So the personal brand is basically you as a person represent a brand, whether you like it or not. In today's world, with social media being what it is, the internet being what it is, the personal brand is the way you present yourself to the rest of the world. If I were to Google your name right now, if I were to look you up on Facebook, if I were to look you up on Instagram, what would I find? And believe me, anyone who wants to work for anyone will have their name Googled by their potential employer. Or even if you are even if you are an employee, it's important to work on your personal brand. But more so, obviously, if you are an employer, or at least a business owner, or someone who works for themselves, or as a freelancer, it is very important for you to present yourself to the internet in a way that you feel like is how you want others to perceive you. How do you want to present yourself to the world? And this is a skill that you can learn and improve upon, and it is very, very important. And one of those things no college or school will ever teach you. And then there is the entrepreneurial mindset, which applies not just to entrepreneurs but also to employees, and that's kind of what he talks about in the book. He talks about the entrepreneurial mindset versus the employee mindset. Basically, this one is very, very complex and hard to explain in just a few sentences, so I really recommend, if you want to know more about this, pick up the book, Michael Ellsberg, The Education of Millionaires. But this is a super interesting book for anyone who wants to know what you can learn outside of college to become more successful. Now, apart from that, one of the main points he makes is that college is a really bad investment in today's world. The reason for that, and I agree with him, unless you want to really be a lawyer or a doctor or an engineer, for which a college degree is still kind of essential because you can't enter those worlds without a college degree. But even if you want to be one of those, education outside of college may be as important, if not more important, than the education you receive within college, to make yourself stand out from everybody else in the same field, in the same line of work. Even if you are a lawyer, how are you going to attract higher paying clients than other lawyers? How are you going to present your law firm, or if you want to work for a law firm, how are you going to present yourself to a law firm as a more valuable employee? And that is through all these skills I just mentioned: personal branding, sales, marketing, all of those things law school is not going to teach you anything about. But look at the most successful lawyers or law firms out there, and I bet you they are not standing out because their employees or their partners are the ones that did best in law school. They stand out because they know more about sales, about marketing, about branding than the next law firms. And that is exactly the things that you have to learn in today's world. Now, the good thing about all of this is that all of this is stuff that you can learn yourself. We have technology available to us today, the internet, but even then, libraries with countless of books. How many people read books after they finish school? Unfortunately, it is a very low percentage of the population. Even if they do, they read like crappy fiction, rom-coms and stuff like that. But believe me, you can learn more just by reading books for a year than most people learn during their entire college education. Because most people, they take shortcuts, they don't really want to be there. They think that, if I just finish this, then it's fine, I'll be fine for the rest of my life, I don't have to learn anything anymore. Unfortunately, that's not how it works in today's world. That may have been how it worked 200 years ago, 100 years ago, maybe even 50 years ago, but really today it's not how it works anymore. So the reason college is still on so many people's minds when it comes to education, and why people believe so strongly in having to have a college degree to be successful, is because that's the way it was for our parents' generation. Our parents grew up in a world where, for the first time ever, a college degree was very accessible to most people. I'm not saying everyone, but at least a lot of people in the West in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s were going to college in larger and larger numbers. And a college degree was still a ticket to a well-paying job at which you could work for a long time, you build a career, and after working there for 20, 30, 40 years, at age 65, you get a pension, you retire, and you get paid a very decent amount. Now the problem is that that world, unfortunately, well, maybe not unfortunately, maybe it's actually fortunately, depending on where you're at right now, that world does not exist anymore. In today's world, almost everyone in the West can get a college degree. And it doesn't make them stand out anymore as a result of that. However, a lot of people in today's world, not just of our generation, but one generation ago as well, I'm gonna name a few names right now: Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, Larry Ellison, Oprah Winfrey. What do all of these people have in common? Obviously, they're billionaires, right? They are very, very successful people in the field they're in. But they have another thing in common, and that is none of them finished college. All of these people are part of the very top, the very elite of today's world, and none of them have finished their college degree. That's because the way to really stand out in today's world has nothing to do anymore with having a college degree or not. I'm not saying that a college degree is completely worthless. I'm just saying that it is no longer a necessity if you want to stand out in today's world. It is an entry step for some people if they really want to climb that employee ladder, which is no longer a safe option as it used to be, especially after the rise of the internet, the financial collapse that followed in 2000 and then again in 2008. The world is kind of changing, where the economy is no longer safe for anyone to go and work for the same company for a long amount of time and then hope that at the end of 40 years of career building within that same company, they're going to have a pension that is going to support them for the rest of their life after retirement age. Unfortunately, that's just not how it works anymore. But as a result of that, there are other opportunities that are opening up for people. And investing in yourself, becoming an entrepreneur, whether you do so as an actual entrepreneur or with the mindset of an entrepreneur within an employee lifestyle, and then investing in assets, is how today's world will, or how successful people will be created or are created in today's world. And so, to sum it up, because this video has been going on for a while already, this usually happens when I talk about things I'm really passionate about. But so to sum it up, education in today's world is severely lacking. However, fortunately, we have the tools right now available to all of us to educate ourselves in the things that are important in life if you want to be successful. And I can tell you that for the past 2-3 years, I have invested a lot of my time in personal development, educating myself in several areas. And in those areas, the areas that are the most important in life, in my opinion, or well, I guess in anyone's opinion really, the areas of health, and by health I mean diet, exercise. Those are things you don't really learn much about in school either, unless you're specifically specializing in those areas. If you're going to become a dietitian, then maybe you learn about diet. But I think that everyone, absolutely everyone should learn about this. Everyone should learn about what is healthy to eat, because everyone eats, so why shouldn't everyone learn that? Everyone should learn about exercise, what exercises are best for the goals you want to reach. So health. Then there's wealth, and wealth is very broad again, but I would say that the most important things about wealth that I learned are about business, about online business in specifically, because that is my field, and then about sales, marketing, and investing. Those areas are the areas of wealth that I invested a lot of time learning. And then there's relationships, and relationships can be anything from how to talk to a stranger, how to talk to people on YouTube like I'm doing now, for example, but it can also be how to find and maintain a successful romantic relationship. Those are all things that fall under the relationship category. And those 3 areas of your life together, if you are successful in all of those areas, those will create happiness in your life. Those are the areas where if you are doing well, and you don't have to be a billionaire to be doing well in the wealth category, and you don't have to have a six-pack to do well in the health category. But if you are doing reasonably well in all 3 of those areas, then your life will be so much better than anyone else's. Even if one of those areas is severely lacking, not only will that drain your happiness and you will become less of a happy person in general, it will also drag the other 2 down with it. This is like, as soon as you have all 3 in balance, you will notice that the other 2, if you have 2, sorry, I'm going out on a limb here, like if you have 2 of them doing really well, you will automatically notice that the other one will kind of be dragged along with it. Because if you are a healthier and a wealthier person, you will become more confident around other people, and that will influence your relationships. You will have more friends. It will be easier for you to make new friends. It will be easier for you to approach people of the other gender to go into a romantic relationship with. On the other hand, if you are doing really well in health and romance, then perhaps you free up a lot of your time, you are less stressed, and you can work on your wealth more easily. I'm not saying that it will happen automatically, but I'm saying that if 2 of them are doing really well, you have a lot of time and energy to focus on the other one, which you will then improve upon as well as a result of that. So those are the 3 areas, the 3 main areas that I feel like everyone should work on educating themselves in. And forget about college for now. College is ridiculously expensive in both time and money. Not everywhere. I know some countries college is free, but even if it's free, think about all the time that you spend at college and what you could do educating yourself in that time, not just by reading or learning, but also by doing, which is by far the most important way of education.